but Nicki's she's still around me in everything I do and all the plans I put in place. So, it's
still very much in your mind.
Yeah. She didn't want to travel by herself to Switzerland. She wanted me with her when she passed away. Yeah, I mean, she was still conscious. I could still talk to her about that.
So hard.
It's a death sentence.
So, welcome, Nick, to the podcast. I know we met you at the MND event at the Tattoo Memorial, and you got in touch with us, which was lovely that you reached out to us, that you listened to the podcast, because at least someone's listening. And we saw your beautiful memorial tattoo for your wife. And we know that it's that sort of time of year for you, isn't it? It's a poignant time of year. So what best time to come on and speak to us? So
tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you came to be at that event that we met you at, and your wife's journey, your journey together.
So say 2 years ago, my wife developed a limp. Well, she wasn't my wife, just my partner back then. Been together 20 years. And we were just, very active and full life. And so she had a limp, and, I think we had a physiotherapist, and they said, oh, that looks that's not muscular, maybe neurological, go see a neurologist. And we went to see, I'm working full time, so they got private healthcare. So we just went for it, found somebody, and it's like, you pick your pin in the list and you think who's good. And I'm like, oh God, that was a bad start. The guy was very arrogant. Afterwards, we found all these reviews, 1-star reviews.
Oh God.
And, very arrogant. And, he'd said, it's just something normal. You've been bending down doing something, sciatica, something like that.
Yeah.
Was this a neurologist you saw?
A neurologist.
And so did they not do any scans?
So this was part of the challenge. He wanted to do what they call an EMG nerve conduction test. Mm. Now, Nicki was unbelievably needle phobic. So we have to sedate her with elephant tranquilizers. She's never given blood. Yeah. So she kept asking, does this involve needles? Does this involve needles? And I said, no. So she goes in, and the guy taps, doing the test, does a few taps, and then it gets needles out.
Oh no.
And she just has a major panic attack, freaks the guy out, and he sort of abandons it halfway through. So.
And this is private health?
This is private at Spire, yeah. So they haven't done a complete test, but arrogant neurologist, that's just sciatica, you'll be well in 16 weeks' time. And it's like,
I don't even think sciatica works like that, does it?
Yeah, it was kind of, yeah. So then we went on holiday, and Nicki was just getting worse, Nicki, her limp was getting worse, she couldn't get around.
Was she in pain at that time?
No, and she was never in any pain.
Okay,
so
that's a blessing.
Did she have issues with her balance with the limp?
Yeah, it was just she couldn't put any pressure on. She couldn't stand on her toes on the one foot, and it was really, really weird. We have a gardener who comes regularly, sees lots of people and stuff, and he pulled me aside one time and said, we've had a customer who had motor neuron disease, and he started like that. So my gardener diagnosed what was wrong.
Was better than the Spire doctor.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's frightening.
So we chased Bupa and said, look, we've got to see someone else. It's not getting better. That guy was a twat.
Yeah.
And
so we technical term.
Yeah. So we went. So we found someone else, and then it got weird. He said, "Oh well, we'll do the test properly. You can have your sedation, and it could be these things. It could be related to Lyme's disease, because believe it or not, Lyme's disease was in Redditch a couple of years ago, and she was out in the garden and she got bitten." And another wonderful medical interaction, she had the classic bullseye, and the pharmacist said, "Oh, it's just an insect bite, put some cream on it." So she didn't get the right antibiotic. She saw the doctor prescribed the wrong antibiotic. So it's so she had it in her head that maybe this is related to Lyme's disease. Mm-hmm. And that was a nightmare, trying to get the blood tests to get that ruled out. But then, so we did the full EMG tests, and with a nice guy at the QE. And then we went back to the second neurologist, and he was nice, and he was more human. And he said, it still could, we were looking for this, we were looking for that, or it is actually the thing I said it would never be. motor neuron disease.
Wow.
And he said, like, you know, so we're just in shock, and Nicki wants to know, well, how long, you know, and he said, oh, well, it won't be months, you know, 5 to 10 years. The QE will be in touch eventually. Goodbye. And this was like the week before Christmas.
Jesus.
So, and there was no signposting. There was no, this is what you should do. This is what you can
It's some
expect.
information
Yeah,
about
there was
it.
no information. And it was like, just don't Google it, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And it's like, so.
That's outrageous.
And I would be Googling as I'm leaving the premises.
Yeah, no one's giving me any information, so I'm going to find my own.
And it's like, so they'll refer us to the QE, and the QE will get in touch eventually. And like, you'll be in touch with the MND clinic. And like, Nicki wasn't one for like hanging around. It's like, you know, we've got to do something. I'm not just going to sit here, die, wait for something to happen to me. You know, so we found physiotherapists privately that could help neurological, because she wanted to keep her strength up and try and get something back so she could stand. She was desperate to stand all the time.
She's so positive though.
Yeah, just pushing on all the time. You know, it's like Radio 4 did a great thing. So like, for years, we've always woken up Radio 4, the Today program on the radio. We get the diagnosis the week before Christmas, and then just to be really cheerful for Christmas, Radio 4 have this thing with Esther Ranson about assisted dying. So every single morning the alarm goes off, and now the assisted dying.
Wow.
And I've got this like diary that Nicki had written of like, you know, notes to self, like Dignitas, number 1. And it's like, so she already knew there was.
She was thinking about that.
She was already thinking about it. And
where do you sit with that, just out of interest?
Obviously
it's very topical, isn't
it? So I think it's important that people have the choice, and I wish she'd had the choice. And
she clearly was
I mean, she had researched how to kill herself, and she'd got everything ready. She'd got the plan how she could do it. And I just said, well, you know, if that's what you want to do, I'll support you, but I'd like to have as much time with you as I can, you know.
Absolutely.
And she never wanted to leave the cats and leave home, so she didn't want to have to go to Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's also a massive thing to do when you're not in full health.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Travel. It's very basic.
Yeah. And it's like, she was also thinking of other people, you know, it's like her main concern was, her secondary concern was how it would leave me in terms of like, you know, police and, you know, my liabilities afterwards.
It's a very real concern.
Yeah. She didn't want to travel by herself to Switzerland. She wanted me with her when she passed away. And it's, you know, so if she'd had the choice and we could have put something in place, I think it would have helped her mental health for quite a while. You know, it's like, you know, we've got that as the backup. But yeah, so she was stockpiling sleeping tablets. She'd worked out how many she needed to take with what anti-sick tablets. She'd worked out that she everybody knew that she loved flying saucers. And flying saucers were invented in the early 1900s to administer medicine.
Yeah.
So she'd worked out that if she had the mobility in her hands, she could crush the tablets in, invite her friends round for a party, and have them give her the tablet. You know, so like without them knowing what was happening, you just could say goodbye to everybody and then fall asleep. You know?
Oh gosh,
that's setting me off. That's some quite strategic and emotive planning.
Yeah, but she didn't want to tell me about it, so this was all going on in her head, you know. And it's like, but she couldn't tell me because she was worried that if I knew, then I'd be implicated. And it's like,
that was thoughtful.
Yeah,
she sounds like
crazy
she was
kind of thoughtful.
Yeah,
but it is.
It's
really from a place of love, isn't it?
Yeah. That was. Yeah. So then, and then she was pragmatic. So first thing she said was, "Well, there's going to be paperwork, so let's get married." So she organised
make it easy.
Get married. Yeah, it's like, so finally she made an honest man of me, and like, you know, we arranged the wedding, and so I'd arranged a little party with some musical friends, some local musicians, and it wasn't really it's like, how do you want a gathering of friends, but you don't want to have a celebration because you're doing it because she's dying. It's like, you know, she wanted.
And did everybody know? Did your immediate circle of friends? She was quite honest, and you were both quite honest about it. Okay.
Yeah. So
because that in itself, that's so hard.
Yeah, and people didn't believe it. My mother didn't believe all of Christmas. No, you got to be wrong. You got to be right. It's fine.
Yeah.
And had QE other than this prognosis of 5 to 10 years, which is rather vague.
Yeah.
When did it become apparent that wasn't the case?
I don't know. Probably March. Realised it was only going to be. Yeah. So we hadn't seen the QE. So the QE didn't get in touch. So I had to chase them come the new year, and then eventually we got an appointment to the MND clinic. And then their consultant saw us and had to give a second opinion before we had the diagnosis. So the more blood tests, more heavily sedating her and carrying her to the doctor and stuff. And then we get a letter from the consultant saying, like Greek word, Latin, don't worry, Greek word, talk to you about it later, with no explanation of what all these things were. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that anything like that? And then we go to the second follow-up. And it's at that point we realize that the MND clinic isn't anything. It's basically the backstop when the local services can't support you, or they can't offer you anything. So I think the second visit we had, Nicki, said, well, we need a physiotherapist to come in and show Nick how to get me out of the wheelchair into bed because it's killing him, because we didn't know what to do.
There's a demand on you as well.
Yeah, so basically there's manual handling training, which I joined an online course in June.
Yeah.
A month before she passed away.
An online course of manual handling.
Yeah.
Isn't there an irony of
and in which they said, I asked the question, so how do I operate? Can I get some help with the hoist that we required? And I said, one person shouldn't be using the hoist alone. I said, I am alone.
Can't magically as a person. Yeah.
It's just, so many.
Shocking.
Yeah. So then we got referred to the local services. And I think they were scheduled to see us every 3 months. So like March would have been.
3 months is such a long time.
Yeah. Now, if you've got a diagnosis of 5 to 10 years and you're deteriorating slowly, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't even checking in on how quickly.
Quick are you deteriorating?
Yeah. So basically, so I remember organising the wedding, and they said, do you want chairs or do you want to stand? It's like, Nicki said, we're going to stand. Then a week later, it's like, well, we'll walk in, but we'll have chairs. And then the week before the service, it's like, well, we're going in the wheelchair.
That is rapid.
Yeah. I had to sort of push her in the wheelchair.
And at this point, let me just get this straight. At this point, none of the clinicians or specialists you'd seen had really seen you.
No.
So this downhill slope.
Yeah, we're all on our own.
Just together, just you and Nicki.
Just the two of us, yeah. So then she was still pushing on. Yeah, so we live in a bungalow, wheelchair accessible, easy access. We just finished the outside after like 7 years of trying to decide what to do with the outside front. We'd finally finished it. We'd had 10 steps put in with no handrail. And we'd actually thought, shall we like plan ahead to when we sell it to somebody old? Shall we put a ramp in? We thought, no, we won't need a ramp.
We won't need that.
We won't need a ramp. And it's like, and then it's 6 months later. So, so then it was like, and then there's little things like the kindness of strangers, So like on January 1st, I called up some local chap who does ironwork and said, "I've got this problem, we need some railings." And like he came out the next day on January the 2nd, measured up. Next week, he fabricated it all, put it all in. And like he'd made us a lovely little finial with like a dragon's head to keep the demons away. It was
Yeah.
And then Nicki had a fall and never even got to use it. So she had a fall in the porch. So I just remember being sort of in the porch. Like she fell, she banged her head, twisted her leg. And it's just the two of us. We were on our way out to a gig. She was going to push on, We planned to have wheelchair access at the gig and stuff. So I'm calling oh dear. So like she banged her head and it was like, so we called an ambulance. And it's like, well, is she conscious? Yes. Okay, well, we'll be with you in 3 hours. 3 hours later, well, it might be 2 hours. Yeah. At which point she's like exhausted and in bed and she's still alive. So we just forget it.
Leave it till tomorrow.
Yeah. So then we, so then we wanted to get some physio. She had regular physio and the physio said, no, well, I can't do physio until you've broken something. So we tried to call an ambulance again.
This like
another 8 hours. Yeah. So then we finally get an X-ray booked for Bromsgrove Hospital, and it's a Saturday morning, and like it was getting ready was really hard in the mornings. So I managed to get Nicki into a wheelchair and to this thing, but in her pajamas. And so she had the thought of going out of the house in her pajamas. It's just horror. It's like, because she cared about what she looked, she could get ready really quickly, which always looked lovely, and it's just.
Yeah.
So we get there and they've got an X-ray machine set up, but with no one to help with the manual handling to get her onto it. And it couldn't get the X-ray through her hip to see if she'd done any damage.
It's one kind of epic.
Yeah. So we get into, So we leave, we get into the car, and they say, well, you've got to go. Oh, was that? No. Oh God, it's just go around in circles. I remember going to A&E and the nurse saying, yeah, like Nicki wanted them to look at her. And she said, well, when did it happen? It's like last week. And have you been mobile since then? Well, no, I've got MND. I've been stuck in this chair. Oh, well, you might have an aneurysm or something. So we're not going to do anything. You've got to go to the QE. And
it's almost like this kind of passing.
It
Yeah,
is.
passing
It's
the buck,
literally,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a monkey on their shoulder. As long as they pass that monkey on, it's not their
And apparently
responsibility
they'd
anymore.
had some incident with
Yeah.
somebody who developed DVT from being immobile from an injury a few weeks earlier.
And they didn't want to
So
be part of that.
they didn't want to risk. Yeah. So that was actually the first time we encountered anybody from the local services. I did actually call the MND clinic at the QE, and the woman there, I can't remember her name. She's been on the TV a few times now. You know, she was trying her best, but she managed to call the local physiotherapist who actually came out to the car park at BrumYODO Hospital to just watch us get in the car and tell us to go to the Alex and, you know, give us a few advice and reassure us. And she was the only one that really stayed in touch. She was lovely, right to the end.
Thank God that there is somebody within this story that is supportive and constant.
Yeah. And I don't know. So, you know, there was the whole A&E experiences. So we went to A&E one night. Obviously, you're there for 4 hours. She's uncomfortable in the chair because she can't move. Her legs are swelling. And like, I think we got to like 3 hours. And she said, like, I'm not having this. You know, we're going. Go home. Get the car. Get me into the car. You know, and then like we tried to get her into the car, and she fell between the car. And then the paramedics were getting annoyed with her that we were leaving rather than waiting.
Yeah.
So I left her in the wheelchair, ran to get a different car that would have been easier to get her into. And I got back and she wasn't there. And it's like, apparently they just finally decided to call her. And she was recounting that the doctor came out and said, where have you been? Wasting our time. Follow me. And stormed off down some corridor. And Nicki's there with a wheelchair trying to catch up. And it's not until she gets into the room and the doctor says, so what's wrong with you? And it's like, well, I've got motor neuron disease and I'm dying. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, let me see what we can actually do for you rather than being grumpy. And it's just
epic failing.
Oh, it's just on every level. And it was just because it was all so quick, you know, it's just...
I bet it just felt like everywhere you turned that everybody was unable to do their job effectively.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's no communications between departments, between hospitals in the same trust.
No, they couldn't even, because we're on Redditch is on the border between West Midlands and Worcestershire. They can't even share notes without going through. It's just
ridiculous.
And it's actually quite often the case in this area that you'll get sent to the Alex. They can't sort you out, so you either go off to Worcester or you go off to the QE. And then you're talking about two completely different areas.
Parts of the world. Yeah. Well, I remember that night coming back from the QE though, because then it was like, okay, so we've been here forever. Nicki's in agony. There's nothing wrong. Can we get some help getting transport? Because we just had a major fail trying to get into the car. Well, it'll be 4 hours. And so she said, nope. So managed to get her in the car, and I've got pictures of her. She's just always about problem solving. It was like, go get these cushions from the garage. And she like crawled up the steps. She got out of the wheelchair onto the floor in the rain, like one cushion at a time, up the steps, dragged herself into the house. Yeah. And it was like, really? We're going to do this? It's like,
a tenacious woman, though.
Oh, God, she wouldn't give up. It was just...
But you think even somebody would be able to come and say, we've got something to help you with this situation, to get you in, out, to even like a cushion that you could sit that turns, you know, to move her in and out of chairs. And the things are there. They are there.
Occupational therapy should have been sent out as part of the
MND. So
all
like,
should have happened.
So we'd have like occupational therapists come out and we'd say, well, we're struggling with these transfers. And they said, well, there is something called a slide board. And but it's like, I know, we've already tried that. That's what we're struggling with. You know, I got loads of slide board different options before they'd even suggested them. I got loads of slip, the nylon things you put on your hands to slide. And I mean, everything they could suggest. It was just always a bit too late. We'd already figured it out. You know, it was like...
You're still on your own doing it.
Yeah.
It's always all those imagining
things.
There's somebody else there.
Yeah.
All those things are fine in a hospital setting, you know, and there's four people to do it, moving a slide sheet or whatever.
But then they come in and it's like, okay, you're going to need this hoist. You're going to need to move your bed. You're going to need to have a hospital bed. And Nicki was like, no fucking way. It's just like, you're not messing with my room. I'm not having that heist in here. So we shopped around and found a more elegant collapsible heist, and I had to get the NHS one out. And I realized I needed an extra inch between the bed and the sideboard to get it in. So while she was in the bathroom once, I moved the bed an inch. She came in and said, who's moved the bed?
So she knew.
She knew. Like, oh, please, just give me, just a little give. But so we managed with the heist. And so,
was she quite graceful in this? Dealt a card like that.
Yeah.
There are two options, aren't there? You either are accepting and graceful about it, or you're angry and fighting.
Yeah, no, she wasn't angry. I think it's more angry about not having the choice, and this has happened. And has it really happened? Because they'd still left the line.
Which was she?
So 63.
I mean, that's just no age, is it?
So she had the diagnosis in December. In September, I got pictures of her riding a horse around Morton Show for the end of the year. And then she was out riding and hacking every morning until, she struggled to I think it was a friend who noticed her heels weren't sitting right in the stirrups. That there might have been a problem. So she just pushed on, and then, we had to have she wanted to have a holiday and go back down to Devon. So we found this place over the Dart estuary that was all on one level. So we sort of implies it's wheelchair accessible, but it wasn't really. And it was, we bought a transit that was wheelchair adapted. She bought this monstrous 4x4 wheelchair so that she could go out with the horses and get in the yard, and,
off-roader.
Yeah, a real off-roader. It was it cost more than the car, and it just about fitted into the van. And I got these nightmares, us going away. First time I've driven the van, and we've packed it in, and Nicki's wedged in the middle, and I've got extra heists, a spare wheelchair in case the big wheelchair won't go into the property, commodes, all this equipment packed to the high heavens. It took me all day to pack the van, so we didn't head off till 8. We didn't get, I don't know. We didn't get to the property until about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
Now system sent us wrong. I had to get her into bed. I can remember finally putting everything away and thinking I can get to bed now just as the sun was coming up.
Oh, bless you.
And that was for her birthday. So she had a birthday the next day, 2 days later. And I'd arranged wheelchair accessible sailing.
Oh, amazing.
Ever the doting husband, doesn't you? My goodness.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's beautiful.
But she'd got these back problems that were neurological, not to do with the MND. So she was in absolute agony, and she couldn't get out of bed on the day. So we had 2 days, there was another opportunity with the ties. We could have done it, and she still couldn't get out of bed. And she loved being on the Dart and seeing the water, but the best I could do was arrange a mirror at just an angle that from the bed she could see the ferry coming in and going. And
it's even thinking about those little things, because we were saying yesterday that make a difference, don't they? Just knowing that she would like to see that, and being mindful enough to think, let me do that for her.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, really and just nice. Finding a way.
Her just being somewhere that she chose to be.
Yes,
and even if it couldn't be the experience it needed to be, just finding a way for her to see it.
Yeah. And it's just so, I mean, I was thinking about, the impact she's had on me, and it's always been positive, you can't do, I hope my mom doesn't listen to this. It's always very negative, you can't do that. That's dangerous. That's too hard. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. And Nicki was, when I met her, it was well, why aren't you rewiring the electrics? Why aren't you up on the roof fixing something? Why can't you do that? You're capable. Yeah. And it's now I've become the person that can just do these things. I can, make these things happen. And it was,
so Nicki was a doer.
Yes, she was definitely a doer. And it was well, we're going away. We'll find a way. And I'd be there panicking. I can't get the hoist around this stupid wheelchair because we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll find a way. Yeah. And, she was swinging in the sling and
bless. And what a lovely positive person.
So positive. And it's
do you think that's changed you, the way you are fully now?
Yeah,
do you think that you take inspiration?
Yeah. I mean, so I think we were saying, so she passed away July the 11th last year. And
it's a year tomorrow.
So it's been tomorrow's the first anniversary.
And dare we ask how you're feeling? Because this is very
I have up and downs. Everybody tells me I'm doing really well. I find that a bit of a double-edged sword, because it's almost like saying, they mean it really positively that I'm doing well.
And then you think, am I coping too well?
Yeah, I'm thinking, does that mean I didn't love her as much as I did, and that's why I'm coping?
I think that people don't know what to say.
Exactly.
This is this is the whole venture of our podcast. People don't know what to say, so they say something that they think is kind because they don't want to say, "You look like shit today." How are you feeling? Awful every day since she died, and you're going to say, "Yes, actually, that is the reality of my life." And it's a hard conversation that not many people are willing to have or want to have. Their lives from truth, because of course, within those moments, you do have moments where you're okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you do have days where you're okay.
Yeah.
But for a lot of the time, it's consuming, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the start, I think it was all consuming. Everything I did, because I'm living in the same house. It was just an overwhelming sense of guilt when you carry on and do stuff. Because I was just thinking I rearranged the contents of, it's just, first of all, there's the filling the first charity bag with clothes that can't be resold on eBay or got rid of, and then instead of storing my clothes in another room, using the drawers that Nicki had used. And it was that sense of guilt of reusing her underwear drawer, put my clean underwear in. It was just, and then there's the sense of guilt on the day when I do it and don't remember it was Nicki's underwear drawer.
Yeah.
It's just silly things like that.
It's just strange moments.
And I think that's a really interesting point, actually. These are the little things that nobody's prepping you for.
No.
Yet when that person dies, you have all these practical things to fulfill. The funeral, there's this, and there's the paperwork, but actually, I've then got to come home to this property on my own and look at all of this stuff in our life together and deal with it. Alone.
And do something with it alone.
More often than not alone.
And the thing is, people will say, "Can I come around and help? I'll help you sort." My sister wants to come over and help sort out, or my mum does. And you'll come over and you'll throw it all away with no regard for any sentimental aspect of it. Because we just had different lives. So it's my job to do this, and I got to figure out.
And that will take time.
Yeah, and it's starting to happen. It's that I'm making changes. It's more my house than their house, but there's still a big
But it
gap.
will always be your house together.
Yeah.
Just now it's different.
Yeah.
The period of this whole thing about grief. We've talked about this a lot with lots of different people. Even yesterday, these stages of grief and this, that, and it is not linear. It is different for everybody, and it is okay.
Yeah,
it is normal.
Yeah,
I remember, my sister says she's a grief counsellor, and so, she'll say things like, "People are expecting to believe to be a certain way at this point, and in 6 months I should be like this. Everybody around you, you've had your 6 months of grief, right? Could you just get on with it now? Go back to work, be fine." And it just doesn't work like that. No. Humans don't work like that.
You're all over the place, some days you have a good day, and
you've got a good circle around you. You've got some good friends.
Well, we didn't have lots of friends, so I've got some good friends, and I mean, WhatsApp's a godsend because you can't talk to people sometimes, but just being able to reach out to people and then see that they've seen your message and then they'll respond. It's just, that helps a lot. I wasn't want much for picking up the phone and talking. I mean, Nicki used to. I mean, she was the same. We were both quite quiet. It was just our lives together. That's the weird thing. It's just our lives together, and it was very full. We did lots of stuff. And there were other nice people around, but it was about us. But now that's sort of backfired a little bit, because. But then,
circles.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I've never been outgoing gregarious. Well, I'll say that. Yeah. So my counsellor might laugh at me, but it's no.
Interesting. So you're having counselling.
Yeah. So work were absolutely wonderful in terms of my manager spoke. We just chatted as friends on the phone while Nicki was ill every couple of weeks. And then when I told him that she'd passed, it was very understanding and very supportive. And he did say, don't forget, work have some services available if you need any support. And I just thought nothing of it. And then so then there was the funeral and there's the admin. And then started to know, and then basically Sunday afternoons, Sunday evenings are they're the worst, because, you can't go out to the shops and distract yourself with some shopping. You haven't got any post to send off or answer. There's nothing going on and it's really quiet. So I think I came back on a Sunday from maybe seeing my sister or seeing my mum or something. And it's got really dark. And I thought, no, can't have that. So I called the service that work had, and it was just really nice to talk to somebody on the phone.
Or tissue there, my darling.
So they put me in touch with a counsellor. Well, they couldn't find
through work.
Yeah, I went through work, called like an emergency helpline. When you're, I think it was like late on a Sunday night, 8:00. So it was like an American accent that picked up. But but they organised stuff, and they organised a counsellor. But they couldn't find anybody local. This woman was in like Ryde in Isle of Wight.
Wow. Yeah.
So like, couldn't like you start a conversation, you can't even compare notes about the weather because
it's totally different.
Another part of the world. So I did that for like 5, and that was sort of interesting. But then I found someone local because I wanted like face to face, and the person I found isn't in the medical network, so I just pay. But it's been interesting, the difference, because this one I was speaking to on the phone, she had formulas and processes and like circle. There was some kind of like triangle of something or other, and it was like So what's the thing you're angry?
Some bullshit.
Yeah. And it was like, what are you angry about? Who has caused you the most grief or something? So, we can work through that.
What do you think I'm angry about?
Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm not angry at anybody or anything. It's just the world, the universe,
Situation.
maybe, but, but not. I'm not going to get angry at something I've got no control over. That doesn't help.
With counsellors, it's, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's a human connection, isn't it? So you've got to wait for that person that you can go, I'm going to relate to you. We're going to get on.
Yeah. So I found someone local. And I was seeing her every week and then every 2 weeks. And and it's like having that connection, like, getting the feedback that, she understands what I'm trying to say about what Nicki would have thought and the way I am. And as I said, it's interesting, I'll say, oh, I'm really shy and gregarious. And I'm not gregarious. And she's not supposed to be comment on it, but I could see she's laughing. It's like, no, you're fine. Like, but so that's helped a lot, and so I've I've got something with her tomorrow. I thought might be a big day tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And she wasn't available, but she's found a slot. So. And
how proud Nicki would be that you're doing something like this.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do it. Go and do it. It's something new.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking though, because a lot of people. So basically, you have all the admin, you've got all the admin, all the paperwork.
Oh, the admin. I remember when we were at the place, we called it death admin. You went, oh, dadmin. Which made me laugh.
Yeah. And it was really, and the whole year has been a series of like signs and portents. It's almost like, I get this sense that Nicki's there watching, because I was thinking, I think I was just sitting there, I was thinking, well, what am I going to do about the finances? And I just randomly bought a finance magazine. And there's a whole section on SADMIN, how to deal with death. It's like,
amazing.
Okay, right.
That is a sign.
And then I went to, so I'm wearing this necklace. Sorry.
That's all right.
Right. So that's Nicki's wedding ring. So when we went to this jeweler's in January, and it must have freaked them out really, because we were looking at rings, and, she turned to me and said, well, will you wear that on a necklace after I've gone? And it's like she's buying she hasn't even got the ring yet. They must have found it a bit weird.
Having to buy a wedding ring.
Buying a wedding ring that is only going to be used for a little while. On a necklace. So then I had this necklace made, because I didn't know what to do with her jewellery, so I sort of upcycled her jewellery.
Amazing.
And then, we both liked like Thomas Sabo stuff. So anyway, so we designed something for that. But then I was paying for this, and like while the woman was off, like working out the bill, just sitting on my phone randomly, like opened the Premium Bonds app. I got a win of the value that they're about to charge me. And it's like,
what on earth?
That's like, how bizarre.
How the universe deals you one hand and another at play at the same time.
Yeah, it was just little things like that.
Did it restore some faith?
Yeah.
Did you think?
I feel like, she's watching me.
Yeah.
And we got 2 cats, and she always said that, I'm going to, Aura, this ethereal looking Mancoon. She said, my spirit is going to be with her.
Yeah.
And she never leaves me now. She sleeps with me every night. And
isn't that amazing? The Mancoon.
Big. I got 2 big ones. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
So there's lots of like.
So was she quite spiritual as well?
No, not at all.
Were you more so?
No, not really. I was raised Catholic, but no, she'd laugh at me. We used to joke about dying. I used to joke and say, well, if I'm on my deathbed, you've got to get a man in a frock to give me the last rites, just in case there's a there's a heaven, you know, because that's the final. And she used to tell everybody, "Oh, he wants me to get a man in a dress when he's dying." Or something. But no, she's really against that.
So she wasn't religious.
No, she wasn't religious.
No, and she didn't really have any spiritual beliefs about the afterlife or anything like that.
No, not at all. No, so it was there's nothing like that. Which is probably why I didn't get on with the first. Are you finding
little bits of comfort in these things that are coming to you?
Yeah, I do.
Are you managing to look at those in a way that is like, oh, perhaps there is something a little bit beyond it, or are you just taking it for what it is?
No, I definitely. Yeah, I think a few people have looked at me funny because I'm so like scientist and not spiritual. When I say that Nicki's watching over me doing, having an influence still. It's a contradiction, and like I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, I'm not spiritual. I wouldn't believe that." I say, "Well, I'm not spiritual, but these things happen, you know."
And I can't explain it.
And why dismiss them and forget them? Why not think that, you know?
Do you think you'd ever pursue that a little bit more, just because these things have come into your life?
No, I would always tell people to look for those signs and act on them.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So, like weird things. So, So in the year that's gone, had 2 friends pass away as well. So the first one was like Nicki's oldest friends. I saw them at Christmas. I started to see them a bit, and then apparently, and I was getting ready to like message them for Easter. I thought I'll come up for the spring and see you. And like Jane messaged me and say like Ward's been diagnosed with terminal cancer. He's only got 2 weeks. And it was one of those things I'd put off going to see them. And like first I'd heard was. So then I'd been trying to support her a little bit with a few hints, and we used to go as a foursome. We'd go over to the Newport show, and at the Newport show, you arrive in the car park, and then they take you down in a tractor-driven trailer down to the show. These big trailers that say Newport show of the year. And then I was out the other week with a friend, completely random farm and the guy was showing us his farm, piled us into these trailers. He had the Newport trailers. He was the farmer that did the Newport trailers for the show.
Weird.
Right. So I had to send a picture to my friend and say, "Look, it's a sign. You've got to go to this thing."
Yeah, go to the show.
Yeah, like these signs and portents that just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of tongue in cheek for me, but it is comforting to think.
Oh, absolutely. At what point where they just keep happening, you're going to go, tongue's not in cheek anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is something. Yeah. But Nicki's she's still around me in everything I do and all the plans I put in place. So, it's
still very much in your mind.
Yeah.
Do you think that you came to the tattoo place as that part of
well, that was another serendipitous thing because I just had I'd had the tattoo done. I'd taken the bandages off and I was looking forward to showing it to people. And I was out some events and I opened my phone again, and like Eventbrite said, memorial tattoo talk. I thought, well, I've got to go to
weird,
that. I've just done it.
Smartphones listening to
you
all the time.
But it didn't even tell me anything about this BrumYODO thing. So there was no sense of...
So was that quite new to you then?
I'd never heard of it until I actually walked in the room, looked at the signs and thought, what's all this actually about? Because I had no idea what I was going for, but I thought, I've got to find an opportunity to show the tattoo off.
Yeah, right. And a beautiful tattoo it is.
Yeah, and it's... so these serendipitous things just keep happening, and it's just...
And then you met us?
Yeah, and I met you, and then this happened, and then you said, "Oh, the only date we've got free is July the 10th." And I thought, that's a sign.
Meant to be.
Yeah, that's like just so you just go with it, and it's
and I think that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and people have said, "Oh, you're brave doing that, or you're doing well, or something." And I think they're a bit confused by why I do. So I've had a very busy fall year doing things. I've put plans in place and so research the tattoo. I had the tattoo. That's confused some people because that's
you
not for me.
You need to give yourself structure.
Yeah, and it's
cathartic in some ways as well. It's healing. It's all of these things. And not everyone, unless they've experienced grief like you have, or in any capacity, people don't always understand. They just think, well, what are you doing?
And it's not just grief; it's a traumatic grief. The trauma leading up to it.
I mean, it was that 7 months because just that 7 months, like bobsleigh downhill. It was just out of control. And it's, I still remember, the different deteriorations and even the last day was just, I mean, if someone wants to, if I think about something to be angry about, it's the last day. So like, Nicki needed some support from the nurses because she was suffering, and the nurses would come and say, "Where's the medicine we need to prescribe?" And I said, "Well, didn't you come with it?" So, "Oh no, you've got to get it from the doctor." Then I've got to call up and make an appointment with the doctor to get it prescribed. But then I knew that the pharmacist didn't have any in. So they would prescribe it, but the pharmacist couldn't get it until the next day. But then the pharmacist recognized my voice because I was going up there a lot, trying different medicines. And they said, "Oh, well, we've actually got someone in for somebody else, but we'll tell them it hasn't arrived and you can have it for today." So the nurses come out. And then the palliative care doctor described this like emergency pack that you have for pain relief. And it was needles, so we couldn't talk about it much. But Nicki was prepared to let our friend, who's an ex-nurse, administer anything like that. So I think on the front, so I'd called up the doctors and said, we were told we needed this. And they said, "Oh, she's not that ill. You don't need that yet." So then the nurse is leaving the house and she said, "Well, where's that thing? We really need it." She's like suffering now. So I spent 5 minutes in the hallway arguing about why I hadn't got this thing when the doctor hadn't wanted to give it to me. And then when I went back, Nicki was unconscious, and I'd missed that.
That last window.
Yeah, I mean, she was still conscious. I could still talk to her about that.
So hard.
You're let down.
Yeah, and it was like, because I'd spent the whole day doing admin.
Yeah.
Trying to, and also like, so one red line for Nicki was she didn't want anybody messing with her. Didn't want strangers coming in. So I said, "It's fine. I'll do it all." And then I had a really bad week with no sleep at all because like every 5 minutes she needed to be turned and stuff. So they'd organised some care package, and the nurse that was seeing us had seen what state I was in and said, "Okay, no, you need 3 visits a day and some sleeping nights." So the care people came out. So I had spent, an hour doing paperwork with them while friends were with Nicki talking to her in bed. And then the carers came out and washed her arms. And I said, no personal care, just do her arms, just something.
Yeah.
And I've got this horrible feeling that, that had crossed the last red line for her. And maybe she'd chosen. I did actually tell a friend the other day, I said, and that's when Nicki gave up. And like, she grabbed me and said, "You didn't give up, she chose. She took control, because that was the last thing she wanted." Because it was weird, so like they came in for their first visit of the day, washed her arms. She passed away before their second visit.
Yeah.
But I missed that moment because it was arguing with nurses about why this medication isn't there.
Why that system isn't in place.
Yeah.
And why
it's straightforward.
Communicate it.
Yeah, just communicate. Yeah, and the doctors, some lovely doctors came out and saw us at home. Some lovely doctors. I remember we wanted to see the doctor, and the occupational therapist had seen how we were struggling to get in and out of the car. So she said, "Go tell the doctor to come out to the car and see you." So I went in and said to the doctor, and the doctor said, "I'm not leaving my desk to go and sit in the car with you." So
why?
And she said, "I'll call her." So she called my wife, who was sitting in the car.
I mean, God forbid you actually care about your patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
She can't come in, so go and see her.
Yeah. She wouldn't even go out to the car park. I just, no. If Nicki wasn't so inventive and determined to get things done, nothing would have happened. I don't know.
The saddest thing in these situations, and we hear it again and again, and I know it personally, is it's a system. You have to play into that system. You have to be able to be tenacious. You have to fight.
Yeah.
At the time when the person who is poorly and dying and the person supporting don't have any fight in them.
Yeah.
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 So the only time in your life you're required to fight a system which is fundamentally, sadly flawed, sometimes not at the fault of an individual.
It's just process, it's set up for someone who needs to be seen 3 times every 3 months. And
this whole pack thing, these things should have been available to you when you needed them.
Yeah.
And they said, you need to get these, but you need to get them prescribed.
Yeah.
Just one sentence.
Yeah.
And you could have done that.
Just saying, this is what you need to do. Or it's like, I mean, they didn't tell me. nobody told me that the district nurses were available 24/7 to call. I was never signposted to them. I accidentally found out and called a number, and I tried to call between 9 and 5 and somebody answered. And then I discovered that they were available 24/7. Now, they couldn't help because Nicki had a degenerative, illness. She wasn't on their books. But when you call up and you're in tears, they're quite reassuring. It was nice at any time. And towards the end, it was like I'd call up and say, well, our oxygen levels are 40%. And they said, what should I do? And I said, well, if you come out, it becomes an informal thing and she'll have to go to hospital. I said, no, she doesn't want that. So it's like,
difficult.
So I'm making that decision. No, I'm going to let her deteriorate. Oh, God,
yeah.
It's like
really hard.
Or just being able to talk to somebody at 2 a.m, who, is around the corner. But if only they told me, they would have, I don't know, I just feel.
Do you think it was easier in a way because Nicki was so headstrong and knew what she wanted to happen for herself and knew exactly what she didn't want to happen?
Yeah.
It made that job.
No, it did, because he put the bounds on what she wanted. So like, she organised her own funeral, made all the plans.
I was going to ask you that.
Filled it all out. Yeah. She'd worked out the playlist on Spotify, I didn't have to worry about that. She'd organised the celebrant, and we were going to have the celebrant come out and talk to her to put together the words, but the celebrant couldn't make it on the one day, and then Nicki deteriorated and couldn't quite. So I had to do that bit. That was a bit stressful, but everything else was sort of, things were in place. I had, there's a few gaps where I've got to ad lib or I've got to make some decisions, but that was, and then we had the palliative care doctor come out. Now, he was actually really good in terms of his brutality. Just before we went on a holiday, the hospice had got us in touch with him to talk about this neurological pain she was having from other injuries. And, he said, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And they said, any more questions? And then Nicki said, well, how long have I got? And that was the mistake, because he was really brutal. He gave the answer and said, well, you're not going to see Christmas. And it was like, whoa, that's scaled down from 3 years. So she told people. And then he came out later on and he said, you haven't got much, it's deteriorating really, really quickly.
Did you like that he was so brutal about it?
Yeah. So his name is Dr. Douglas, and they called him Dr. D.
We know who he is.
Yeah.
We've got a nice partnership with the Primrose.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, was it Primrose you're at?
Yeah.
Well,
he saw my mum as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We used to joke Dr. Death had just been to see us, but it was that brutality, that frankness, and that you need to fill out these forms so that they don't drag you off the hospital. Don't call in this situation. We already
very matter of fact man.
Yeah.
Sort of delivered with kindness.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There was no malice. It was very kind.
Yeah. But very direct.
To the point. Yeah, I'm not going to waffle about this.
But then that's his job. It's palliative care, isn't it? Yeah. He's at the head of it. Yeah. So it's got to come from somebody.
Yeah. It's a bit brutal, a bit of a shock, but to have it said so that you don't, no ambiguity about what's going on. Yeah. That was, I think we both appreciated that. And
it's funny because when we talked to the Primrose ladies, I don't know if you listened to their episode, they did say that the word death and dying, people don't use it anymore. It's like loss or, past. Yeah. And it's very flowery.
Ambiguity. Actually, let's be, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And use the right term. They were very pro using the right terminology. It'd probably be an episode because they talk about them as well. Yeah. And their journey into palliative care is fascinating because you may even recognise them from their services.
Yeah, I mean, I heard good things about them, but our experience was, it was like, I mean, the lovely one, we had a meeting with them and they said, we'll come out and be with you through the journey, come and see you as often as we need. Came to see us once and then disappeared and wouldn't answer the phone.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, she's dying. You've moved on to your next patient who you might be able to give some solace to. I don't know.
It's very difficult when you're in it as well.
Yeah.
And you need the support immediately. It's very difficult to.
I don't know what their services are outside of the hospice either. It's not something that was discussed.
Yeah, well, we've got a day with them, so we're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out a bit more.
They've got daycare hospice, which is where we're going, and they've got hospice at the Bromsgrove Hospital.
Yeah.
So. But I didn't know their services extended into the community.
Yeah, into actually visiting.
Yeah, they've got a community service as well that they go out to, but I don't know how well staffed that is. And
I mean, it's one of those things that builds you up. I thought, this is really good. I feel like I got some support, and then it's like, where have you gone?
It's like the magic support.
Yeah. So the one service that really did make a. So have you heard of the Matt Gallagher Foundation?
Only when you mentioned it.
Yeah. So you should look it up. So Matt Gallagher was a rugby player, and after Nicki fell ill with developed a limp. Apparently, he had a fall and he developed a problem around October time, and he got a diagnosis after Nicki, or around October. I think he got a diagnosis earlier because his consultant didn't freak out with the needles, and they knew what was on earlier, and so he saw this gap with the fact that people aren't responding quick enough, and his foundation is all about getting stuff in really quickly, and we listened to a podcast he did, and it really struck a chord with Nicki because she was going through the same journey. We didn't quite realize at the time, but now we do realize at the same pace. And he used the term MND warrior. And that's, so like Nicki wanted t-shirts with I'm an MND warrior printed on it. She's really quiet around people, but she wanted people to stop her in the street in a wheelchair and ask her about MND. Yeah. And we got we bought a wheelchair accessible van. So she did her whole Blue Peter thing. She printed off the Matt Gallagher Foundation logos, so we could put stickers on the van for when we went out.
About Matt Gallagher Foundation, we'll look him up.
Yeah. And so he, our nurses got in touch with him to say there's a need here that we can't service, and so we maybe waited like a month for slide boards or something. I don't know, whatever it was. Just things didn't go very quickly. So apparently her name was put forward to him on the Thursday. On the Friday night, he called me and said, we're organising an electric toilet for you for access, like a bidet, right? And it'll be there soon, right? Next day it arrives. There's the pallet of stuff. And I was trying to say, no, we don't, we're not really that charity. We could buy that. That wouldn't be a problem. Our problem is getting it installed. So, well, I'll get an installer to come out. And then 3 weeks later, he had because the guy, unfortunately, was on holiday time, so it was a few weeks delay. He came and it was installed in no time at all.
Amazing.
Unfortunately, the OT had organised the wrong commode chair, didn't go with it.
Right.
So Nicki never even saw this thing. But she was really touched by this effort he was putting in, and
let me get this right. So Matt Gallagher actually had MND.
He has MND, and then just to make it even more poignant, he called me up after Nicki passed and said, you don't actually need that toilet anymore. Could we take it away and let someone else make use of it? I said, absolutely. So his guys came out to take it away and put the old toilet back in. And he drove himself out to the house, and I met with him and spent 10 minutes with him. And that was a double-edged thing as well. It's like, well, want to thank you for the help, but you've had the diagnosis
and you're
still driving yourself around. And it's like, he is on that 3 to 5 year path. And
just like look at the
draw. Work that he's doing now is all to do with helping others in his situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And getting stuff in place quickly and raising money. And
when he identified that it wasn't there for him.
Yeah.
And then noticed that it wasn't there for anybody.
Yeah. And he had friends and connections and enough people to make it happen, so
and it's amazing what that can do, isn't it?
Yeah. So, so whenever there's an option to put a charitable contribution, so for the funeral, Nicki wanted any donations to go to the Matt Gallagher Foundation. Whenever I sell stuff on eBay, it's donation 10% to the Matt Gallagher Foundation.
I wonder whether he would talk to us.
Yeah, and we've just changed to a CIC, so we're a community interest company. So our profits will be going to charities like that. So we will definitely make them one of the people.
I haven't seen him on social media yet, so I don't know whether he's deteriorating. But his daughter's still active, and I've been in touch with her about. I'd recommend. Because he's
part of the MND warriors.
He's
like that.
He was Nicki's hero, and and mine as well. It was just
would be nice,
and we'd do that for Nicki as well. It'd be nice as part of the podcast to do that.
Yeah, so this wheelchair van, it's a transit because of this monster wheelchair she wanted. So I've just had that converted to a camper, which I think she hated camping. So it's sort of like, I can't part with it. I got to do something. I'm got all these plans for life that sort of touch on things that I would have done with Nicki or not done or whatever. But I'm thinking of getting it wrapped. And I was trying to think of giving it a name.
MND warrior van.
Well, sort of, yeah. So I think I narrowed it down. I'm going to call it warrior spirit.
Yeah.
Because that's not too dark, not too.
No, nice.
It's really positive as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, have you got all your admin in order?
Yeah, I got all that finally. Got all the last stocks and shares sorted about 3 months ago. All the financial, everything's in my name, all got rid of. So all that was in place, and that it's depressing, but it gives you focus. That's how it's like if you've only got one bank account to deal with and you get it dealt with, what are you going to do? It's like.
Have you got anything in place for when you eventually pass away? Have you got sort of plans for yourself?
No, it's kind of odd because I'm seeing doctors about my own things at the moment, and they keep asking next of kin, and I'm thinking, it's like there's no one I want to put down as next of kin, It's like, so I was thinking about plans. I used to joke with Nicki where I wanted played at my funeral, and that I wanted my ashes put on the top of a mountain, only just to be awkward because it's hard to get up there. But other than that, no, I haven't really. But I will. I do need to make out a will.
Yeah,
that has to be.
Important.
That's a weird thing because we made a will, then we got married. What you don't realise is marriage invalidates the will.
Yeah, you need a new one.
Right? You need a new one. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So that's why it was like all the admin was
so difficult.
So difficult. But it gives you focus, something to do as well. Absolutely. And then as that dies off, you put other things in place.
Do you think because she had her own plans for her own funeral, has it made you reflective on what you might do yourself?
Yeah. No, because she used to say, what do you want played? And say, I want this Frank Zappa trap. And say, I don't like Frank Zappa. So, well,
it's not your funeral.
I'm not gonna, for me, it was like, well, do whatever you want. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit. No, I do have to put something in place so that it's not a burden for somebody else. But
that's the only way to look at it. Really, you're going to make that process the sadmin, as you so brilliantly put it.
Yeah, I'm going to use that.
Yeah, we're going to definitely take that on. You've just donated that to its death centre. So.
Yeah,
but it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you for coming and telling us your story.
Thank you.
On such a poignant day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. It's like,
one day at a time.
Yeah,
that's what you can do.
Yeah.
Have you got, other than seeing your therapist, have you got any plans for tomorrow?
No. Well, Mum wanted me to take it to the hospital, but it was to the QE.
No,
it was
thanks.
like no thanks.
Try and avoid that place.
Yeah. And it's like, I've got a concert. I'm going to a concert up at Rednor to see one of the musicians that Nicki and I sort of got to know towards the end. So that might be nice. And then I'm going to try to meet new people. It's kind of, that's hard. That's like, so I'm going to go out Saturday night. I've got my mind set on getting out to a group meetup thing with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
It's not called the Friends Group, is it?
No, it's Birmingham Rock Club or something.
Oh, nice.
I know a few people who are in these types of groups. A lot of them are widowed as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Something you're interested in, I'll find you some numbers.
And
they're all going to gigs all the time.
Okay, yes, yeah, gigs.
What's good about this as well is that you're coming out, and this is a community in itself. People who are in grief, and
it's a bigger one than you think a lot of the time.
Yeah, because
and you're helping somebody by just talking about your experience.
So that's interesting. So like last month, I went to see another friend. Like she's looking after one of Nicki's ex-horses. Started to get to know them, lovely people. Saw them Friday afternoon. Saturday morning, Colin died. Wow. Had a heart attack. Just like no warning, no signs. So like his wife, she's on the phone. I'm talking to her a lot now, trying to support her and help her get through this. Had a funeral earlier this week, which was quite hard. But just we're talking about being on autopilot and getting through these dark Sunday afternoons when there's nothing on, and it's like. And it's nice to think that my experience might help somebody else.
It definitely will.
It does. Will. Yeah, it's like that community thing.
Don't you, there's going to be so many people in the same situation, sadly, as yourself. And we hope that this reaches them and gives them some kind of, and even a framework of support, not just emotionally, but practically. All of the things that are going to come, how do we go about doing it? And this is the whole idea. Like you just said, it's a framework, a network of people to try.
And we do get people reach out to us and say, we listened to that episode. And it's just like what happened for me. Yeah. And you'd be surprised how many people it will reach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how many people have similar experiences and different and handle things different ways? I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making the journey and coming to be with us and sharing your story, because it was
beautiful.
And it must be hard as well. It's not long ago.
Yeah, it's not really that long ago.
Yeah. It's lovely.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning into It's a Death Sentence. Please keep listening to our weekly episodes.
And if you like our show, please like, share and subscribe.
We are dying to talk to you.